All right. Welcome everybody to our Wednesday Zoom and Learn. And today we are covering something that we get a lot of questions on. Annie and I get questions all the time on different types of sales that aren't just your traditional standard sale. And those can range everywhere from a 1031 or a client wanting to do a 1031 to short sales, to solar issues, to vacant land, and bulk sales, things like that. So we thought we would just do a Zoom and Learn that kind of talks and encompasses all complex transactions, right? I guess that's the best way of saying it. All complex transactions that take place, and so that we could answer any questions that come about and have discussions back and forth. So with that said, Annie, I'm going to go ahead and bring this document up that we have here. So Annie put this together that shows a handful of complex type of transactions. And if there's something that isn't on here, then by all means, ask the question and we will discuss it. But these are the most common that title and escrow get questions on, right? Short sale transactions, all-inclusive deed of trusts, 1031 exchanges, vacant land and commercial properties, solar questions, bulk sale around business sales, etc. So we thought we would start with those. And then again, like I said, if you guys have any other type of scenarios, we'll open it up and you can bring those up and we can discuss them as well. So Annie, do you want to start with one of these? Which one would you like to start with? Short sale?
Yeah, you want to just start at the top?
Let's start from the top.
Okay, so short sales, first of all, everybody knows what a short sale is, I'm hoping, but I'm just going to give you a quick kind of explanation, simple one. Short sale means that the sales price, that the market is valuing the sales price at a certain amount. The market just lets everybody know what they can sell it for, and the loan is higher than that. So the payoff is more than what you can get for the sales price. That is what a short sale is. It means there's not enough money to pay off the loans that are against the property. So now we have to do a short sale. Short sales take usually, and I have people, they just don't understand how long they can take. Short sales can take up to 6 months, and especially now. A lot of people remember when the short sale craze was about, and we were doing them on 85 to 90% of the transactions, and those were actually going quicker. Yes, you might be able to close those in 3 or 4 months, but it was because every transaction was a short sale. So everybody was getting used to it, especially after the first year or so. Now they take about 6 months. So if you're doing a short sale, and yes, we do have them. I have 2 of them going right now, with another one opening today, as a matter of fact. So we are doing short sales. They take about 6 months, and the thing is that the lender has to agree to whatever the terms are, and that is the key. The payoff lender now becomes kind of like part of the sellers, that they have to agree to all the terms, just like the seller does. And so if the buyer, let's say the buyer wants the seller to pay $5,000 in closing costs, the lender has to agree to that, because it's coming out of their money, because they're going to get what the net proceeds are. So the lender has to agree to that. That is where we start having problems. Once we get the short sale, the home itself, and the sellers approved, that's when the contract starts becoming an issue, and that's when the negotiating starts. But first of all, you have to get that short sale lender to agree based on the property and the seller. So they have to be willing to, okay, now we're going to do a short sale. And in order for you would think it'd be nice if we could just go ahead and get it opened, so that we can get that part taken care of, the lender or the seller and the property, but we can't. We can't even open a short sale until we have a contract. So you have to have a contract to open a short sale. Then they review the property itself. In other words, they do appraisals, BPO, whatever they're going to do, put a value on it themselves, and then they check out the seller to make sure that the hardship is a valid hardship, and then they start looking at the contract. That is why it takes about 6 months to get these closed. Hopefully we can get it approved within 3 to 4 months and then close within, 30 to 60 days. That's the plan. Does anybody have any questions on just part of that? If you do, just go ahead and chime in. You can either put a chat question in or something like that if you have one, or you can just speak up. Let's see, what do I also see?
And so the pros and cons of that, right?
Oh, yeah, the pros and cons. Let's talk about repairs, because that seems to be a problem. As you all know, so you get a short sale approval. The lender let's say the lender has agreed to pay $5,000 and they've agreed to take the net proceeds and everything is good to go. And then the inspection is done and now there's repairs. Are you going to be able to get that lender to pay for any repairs? What do you think?
Probably
Anybody
not.
have any comments? Yeah, it is really hard. They must put in that short sale approval letter at least 3 times that I've seen, sometimes more, as is, as is, as is. We have buyers and selling agents constantly say, well, go back and see if they'll pay, just $500 for this. First of all, they've already agreed to pay $5,000 of the closing costs. If you guys do that and you want to go back, it's going to take, it's what the lender considers that to be a new negotiation. So you're looking at least another 30 days to get that lender to approve the $500 or $1,000 you're trying to get them to pay. So my thought is always, are you sure you want to do this? Take that time to do this. That's another issue that comes up so many times. They want them to pay something. The good thing about it is there's less competition. There are some people that are just afraid. They don't want to deal with a short sale. They don't want to worry about the time factor. So as a buyer, you kind of have a little better, there's less competition. And I think we're having quite a bit of action out there right now, especially for what's going on. I know that some of the people are having to pay higher prices than what it's listed for.
Yep.
The lenders, the lenders prefer all cash, but usually the only time you have an all cash is an investor, which means that it's less. I mean, an investor is going to obviously make an offer that's less. So that's kind of a give and take. It depends on the lender. I will actually have investors say, well, here, I'll make an all cash offer, but I'm going to go down $25,000, $30,000, $40,000. And if you're going to do that, that's great. They're making the offer. The investor's making the offer. So go ahead and do it, because we're going to submit it no matter what it is. But keep in mind, they're most likely going to counter it. So be prepared for that if that's the case. Otherwise, if you can put 30% down, 40% down, and then do a loan, they like those too. They like the 20% downs even and 80% loans. Those lenders are happy with that. They want those type of deals also. They want to see families buying and investors buying and still putting money down, getting hard money loans. They're okay with the hard money loans also. So just so you know.
Just like to see the skin in the game.
That's right. That's right. So they will definitely work on that. Does anybody have any questions about short sales?
That's like a good 30,000 foot flyby on short sales, right? I mean, it's not 100% in depth. We could probably have a class specifically on each one of these topics.
Yes.
And we very well may, right? We very well may.
I just should mention that the HAFA, as far as the short sale, the HAFA is pretty much, they don't get money. And the only thing that HAFA does is it allows buyers to rent for 3 years. And there's some nice little offers there, but they don't get, I have not seen any cash backs to those sellers for at least 1.5 years, 2 years now. So there are no HAFA cash backs if anybody's asking.
All right. Let's, and again, if you have comments, you can put them in the chat. We will, answer all those as you do. Now, you want to talk to the reasonings? Did you want to go through the 10 reasonings of short sales here? I think that everybody probably knows those. Yeah, I just put those in there just for review, to look at themselves if they want to. But I think most people know that. Those are all pretty basic. It's, the
loan amounts higher than the sales price.
And if anybody wants a copy of this deck, you could reach out to Annie or myself. You can find my info at TauntMeForTitle. It's number4title.com. You can reach me through there. Annie's with Granite Escrow. You can Google her. You can reach her through there as well. But we can send this deck out to you if you'd like it. All right, let's move in. You want to briefly touch on the all-inclusive deed of trust transactions?
Yeah, all-inclusive deed of trust just means that somebody wants to buy the property and they want to just wrap the trustee that is already of record. So they're going to assume that loan and they're going to wrap it. So let's say that they are going to put $10,000, $20,000 down. The loan amount has, the rest of it's basically the loan. They're just going to pay the seller just the amount to get out, and then they're wrapping the rest of it. They're going to pay the seller money, and they're going to pay the lender that's already of record, whatever that payment is. They'll be covering both of those.
And we're seeing this a lot with wholesalers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And things like that, those investors. So this comes up quite a bit. At least I get it. I get questions on stuff like this quite a bit. I know you get questions quite a bit. That's why we thought it was important to put in here.
One of the things you have to do is you need to make sure that your broker is okay with you handling those type of questions. I know that there are some brokers that would prefer their agents don't handle them. So then you'd have to maybe refer it out to somebody.
All right.
That was kind of what we're talking about.
So how about 1031 exchange transactions?
Okay. So does everybody know what a 1031 exchange is?
I think everybody has an idea of what it is, but just kind of give a quick overview.
Okay, so basically a 1031 is if an investor that owns a piece of property that it's not their principal residence, it's an investment. So they own this property that as an investment property, and they've decided they're going to sell it, but they're going to buy something else. If they're going to sell and purchase something else, they can do a 1031 exchange. The 1031 exchange has rules in order for you to be able to comply and meet the requirements for that 1031 exchange. And some of those rules are, first of all, it has to be income property. It cannot be your principal residence. That's probably the most important thing. You have to have a qualified intermediary. Qualified intermediary just means it needs to be an independent third party. One of the main issues that changed with that qualified intermediary when it came about is that third party has to be receiving compensation. That's the key issue. The taxpayer has to replace the property the same way they're entitled. So, if it's a single man, then it's a single man to a single man. If it's an LLC, then it's an LLC to an LLC. If it's a corporation, and so on. So however you held title, you need to make sure you acquire title the same way. You also need to make sure that you defer all of the capital gain. Otherwise, it could be considered that you now have to pay tax on the difference. I will tell you that some CPAs actually think it could hurt your actual 1031 exchange. I haven't heard that personally, to where you would not get the 1031 exchange, just that you're only deferring a portion of the 1031. But you'll need to talk to your CPA about that. You have 45 days from the day that your relinquished property closes escrow. You have 45 days from that day to name at least 3 other properties. You can name 3 other properties, or you can actually do the 200% rule. So if the most common is just naming 3 other properties. Now let's talk about the properties. So you have to actually buy like-kind properties. Like-kind, what does that mean? Does that mean you have to buy a residential home to a residential home? No. Like-kind just means it has to be investment real estate to investment real estate. So you could go from a vacant land to an apartment complex, or from a residential home that you've been renting out to a commercial garage building that you are now going to start renting out. Okay, so it's real estate to real estate, or You know, you could actually do business to business, boats to boats, planes to planes, all different kinds of things. So that's what that's all about. And then you must close your upleg properties, whatever you're purchasing, your replacement properties must close within 180 days. There is no exception to that. If the 180 days falls on a Sunday, then you need to close everything by Friday because you don't get till Monday. It's 180 days. It has to have everything closed. So if you're buying 3 properties, let's say you're selling one, but you've decided to buy 3. And so you're going to buy 3 properties. That 3rd property has to close within the 180 days also. All of them have to be done within that 180 days. So there's your 1031 rules. Any questions on that?
Yeah, and if so, please put them into the chat and we'll get them answered. So that brings up my next thing. Annie and I did a Zoom and Learn, was it last week or the week before, with Brenda Hale in regards to an alternative to a 1031, and that is the M453 sale. And most don't know what it is, but we kind of went through it fairly in depth, and we have a recorded video out there. You can find that on my Facebook page at Tommy for Title. And that allows you, in some cases, let's say you got to that 180 days and you can't close it, you can roll that from a 1031 into an M453 sale if you wanted to as well. And that would allow you to defer your capital gains up to 30 years as well. And it'll allow you to invest it in any type of business. And when we say business, I think she had mentioned as well, mutual fund, savings account, anything that accrues more than 1% per year. And it does have some benefits above a 1031. One, those strict guidelines of identifying properties within 45 days, closing within 180 days don't apply. 2, you can invest it in any type of property. It doesn't have to be like kind, and or invest it into a business opportunity or a mutual fund. Even oil and gas was considered a business investment. So if you want more on that, you can go watch the video Zoom and Learn that we have out there on my page, Tell Me for Title. And I would recommend, if you missed that Zoom, go and look at it and watch it, because if you ever have a client that's interested in doing a 1031, it's always nice to have an out when things go south. All right.
Definitely.
Let's talk vacant land, commercial properties, those types of transactions, the fun ones.
The fun ones. These are actually, they're more when you guys have questions, because obviously the issues with these are the leases. The lease becomes the hardest thing. Septic and well, if it's vacant land, sometimes we have issues with those. Mostly it's just cost. Is Tatiana still on here? Because her and I have dealt with that a couple times.
She is. And Daryl had a question before we move on to vacant land. Real quick, Daryl had put in there, what if the property has a mortgage? Is the mortgage boot rule still in effect?
Yes, it is still in effect. You do have to transfer the mortgage to the debt mortgage to the, otherwise you'll have that, what they call that, debt boot, you know, so it's mortgage boot, where you actually might have to pay tax on the actual principal balance of the loan if you don't take that loan amount and transfer it over. But I will tell you that some CPAs have figured out a way to, that's why we don't have it in the 6th rule, because there is a way to fix that. And they have been able to let their clients know. And I don't know what they do because I'm not a CPA, but I have seen it where we don't have the mortgage exactly, you know, like it's a lot less, and they're okay with it.
And Andrew also brought up mortgage relief.
That's pretty much the same thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
go ahead. It's all you.
Okay.
Land.
So road maintenance agreements are also another issues that we see on a lot of vacant lands. Easements, right-of-ways, things like that come up quite a bit, and they become issues that we deal with. We just had one, gosh, I think it was about 6 weeks ago, that there was a easement for a, Tommy, I think you'll remember this, it was the fence, the fence they had was more like a cement fence, and it was over just a tiny bit, and we just had to have the buyer agree to accept that as is, and there had to be like another document. So it worked out fine, but there just had to be some additional paperwork. So when things come up like that, then, you know, obviously everybody needs to just start working together to get some additional papers signed.
Yeah, it's I get the calls a lot on you know, roads across properties, access roads, roads leading to a property. A lot of times title doesn't have information on those roads. Like I got a question yesterday, like who maintains the road, right? A lot of times we don't have that information unless that road happens to fall as an easement, right? Because then in the
or there's a road maintenance
documentation,
agreement.
it will typically outline that information.
Right.
So, you know, rural properties or what have you, where you have a long dirt road that leads in, and then you physically have a driveway, we don't always have information on that dirt road, right? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Zoning rules and regulations, a lot of times is not outlined within, you know, recorded documentation, stuff like that. It's stuff we have to get from, you know, the county, et cetera. I think for title side, that would, you know, pretty much sum up the stuff that I get questions on in regards to that.
Definitely. Now the solar is pretty basic. The solar is either going to be a transfer or a purchase, but we have had quite a few issues come up lately where the seller has purchased the solar and there is still a servicing agreement that needs to be transferred. We've actually seen that a couple of times where we actually need to get that transfer from the solar company for just the servicing agreement. And so that takes a little time, but they work with us and do what they need to do. So that's something we've been seeing a lot more of. And then environmental and zoning issues, again, those are probably a lot of things that come up for you, Tommy, but obviously it's more paperwork for us.
Zoning, rezoning, splitting of lots, combining of lots, things like that. That's above and beyond what we're going to discuss today. But those are also questions that do come up. You know, a lot of times, you know, there's question, I'm buying 10 acres and, you know, my ultimate goal is I want to be able to split it into, you know, 2 lots or 4 lots. There's a lot of research that needs to be done with the counties in regards to, is it even possible, right? Different counties in different areas have different zoning regulations that in some cases don't allow that, and in some cases do. And that's research that has to be done above and beyond and outside of title.
Yep. But that's I just wanted to show you guys, these are items that we can help you take care of. When you have these come up, that's when you call Tommy and or I. I mean, we are on it. Whatever you need, we understand. We've been working in this long enough to know where we need to go to get the right paperwork, the right information for you.
Yep. So, I mean, that was it on that. I don't think we really need to cover bulk sale. I don't think we really have too many agents that are doing bulk sale. But guys, if you have questions on bulk sales, and bulk sales, we'll just say is business sales. If you ever come across that and you have questions, Annie is your go-to. This lady's been doing bulk sale transactions, and I won't even say how long because that would be rude on my part. But she's I would bet she's been doing bulk sale transactions longer than anybody in the area that I know of. I really don't know of anybody else in the area that does. Closest person I know is Orange County that also does a bulk sale. So,
what is bulk sale?
That's a business sale transaction. So like when someone's selling a restaurant or, you know, any type of a business, I can help them with that.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yep, anytime.
Yeah, it doesn't come up too often with most agents. Most agents that are on here are doing residential or maybe commercial type of lot sales and transactions. So it doesn't, I don't think we need to really go through and walk through the ins and outs of a bulk sale on this one. But what I would like to do is go ahead and open it up to discuss any of this or anything related or if any of the agents have other types of transactions that they've come across that they may have questions with, right? So pertaining to complex transactions or complex things that may have arisen during a transaction. And we'll open it up. If anybody wants to unmute themselves and ask a question, feel free.
Nobody has any questions? Wow, that's new.
This one is actually not a question, but I did want to let everyone know that I can also help with mobile home manufactured homes, even if they are not on permanent foundation. So if you have any questions or if you've got an escrow for that, you can contact me.
That's Lisa Bishop, by the way, you guys. She's my partner. She works with me at Granite.
Yep.
That's a big thing because sometimes we do have transactions that are mobile homes are not on a permanent foundation, therefore doesn't have a title issued to it, has a registration. Usually it's all done through Department of Housing. So
Correct.
Lisa can help you with that type of transaction. It's not something you would need my help with because there's no title on it. If it is on a permanent foundation, then it has been issued a title, and that permanent foundation recording is a 433 recording. Then it would be a normal transaction, just like a normal single family residence home, right? And of course, they can definitely help with that as well.
Yeah, Lisa and I have actually handled transactions where they're putting the 433
Yeah,
on during our escrow. So they're actually getting it recorded at the same time, right, Lisa?
Yeah.
Correct. So a lot of times people will hear 433. 433 is a fixation of permanent foundation, okay? So that is when they take a mobile home or a manufactured home and permanently affix it to a solid foundation. Once that takes place, that property is issued a title, and it no longer is handled through a registration. At that point, it's a single family residence, and all future sales are handled as such. And I get a lot of questions because, like, I just finished one with Dawn Dow, and it was tough because I don't think the agent on the other side knew 100% what was going on. It wasn't necessarily the agent, it was really the lender that was on the other side. And the lender was asking for a lot of things that just don't pertain to that manufactured home anymore once a title was issued. They were asking for information that would have pertained prior to a title being issued on the property. We were able to get them sufficient documentation to suffice the lender's requests, but you know, it never fails. New questions always arise during those types of transactions, right? Now, a 433 or a fixation of permanent foundation, I've run across where the property is on a permanent foundation and there's no 433 recorded. Then what we do is we have to backtrack. And in most cases, we're able to backtrack it and find it. In some cases, I've only had one incident where we weren't. And I'll explain what we did at that point. But we would go back to the manufacturer that delivered the trailer, the manufacturer home to the property, and find out if when they delivered it and installed it in the property, at that time, was it done on a permanent foundation? A lot of times it is, and a lot of times they have documentation of who did it. And then if we can find out who did it, then we can get their documentation because they forgot to record it. There's only about 4 or 5 companies locally that do permanent foundations. In most of them, I should say, they do probably 90% of them. And I've gone as far as calling them individually to see if they physically did the work on it, and actually one time found the company that did the work, and they never recorded the 433 with the county. So they went in their paperwork, got it, and it got recorded. Now, if a manufactured home is not on a permanent foundation yet, and we've had transactions where in the process of the transaction, it gets placed on a permanent foundation. So we have say a buyer coming in, purchasing a manufactured home on land, and it's not affixed. And in the process, they're gonna pay for it to be affixed on a permanent foundation and record it all in the same transaction. So then they pay for a company to come out, put it on permanent foundation. they get a copy of the 433 recorded document that is issued and filled out by that company that installs it. And they send that to title and we record it all at the same time. What we do is we record the 433 and then the next day we can close on the transaction. So we've done it all in one process as well. If it's on a permanent foundation and there is no recording on it and we can't figure out who did it, the other thing is to have a company come out like PermaBrace or something like that and do a physical visual inspection and inspect that it is up to par, up to code, was done correctly, and then they would then issue a 433 that can be recorded. We've done that as well. So yeah, that comes up quite a bit. So if you ever hear that, you've never seen what a 433 is, I would say is you can definitely go onto my site, tommyfortitle.com, do a search for maybe manufactured on land and look up that property and you'll see what that document is. It's just a single page document. It outlines the make, model of the manufactured home, the details of it, when it was built, and when it was affixed to a permanent foundation. And that is issued by the company that does that. Hope that answers that question. All right, any other questions out there that may come up? No?
You guys are good.
Wow.
Yay.
I guess they're all on it. But yeah, again, guys, if you have questions, Annie and I are here to answer them. If we don't know them, we'll get the answer for you. And if you'd like a copy of the Word document that Annie put together on the transactions we spoke about today, let me know. I'll get that emailed out to you. I'm pretty sure I have everyone's contact information that's on here. And, you know, if you have any questions in regards to any of those transactions, short sales, 1031s, et cetera, by all means, feel free to reach out to Annie. She's always willing to help. You know, I have questions that come in and she's definitely a go-to for me because she's extremely knowledgeable. And in most cases, she has the answers that I'm looking for. And so by all means, she's a resource for you, okay? She comes with years of experience on both escrow and title side of the business. So she'll definitely help you any way she can. And if she can't get the answer from you, I'm sure she knows who to contact to get the answer.
That's for sure.
Oh, Daryl says, are there title restrictions still in place for hard money loans? Currently, yes, Daryl, there are. I will not speculate exactly which companies, just know that I only know of 3 right now underwriters that are underwriting hard money. We can get it done. It does take some extra steps on escrow side and on the notary side. Some extra documentation that is being requested to be able to close those hard money loans.
Yes, Lisa and I do quite a few of those. So if you have any questions or need any help, just give us a call or email me. We can handle those.
You know, most of your big underwriters with COVID and stuff right now are still saying no to hard money, but 3 of my underwriters are still accepting them. It's just some extra steps that need to be taken.
Right.
All right, some good questions. So again, we will be holding these Zoom and Learns every Wednesday at 12:30. We are very grateful for you guys coming on and sharing some time with us. And if you guys have any topics that you would like to see covered, by all means, send those our way, because that's how we're basically determining what our topics are each week, is the feedback that we get from the agents that are out there sending it to us. So the other thing I'll leave you with for the agents, investors, you know, Annie and I hold the Weekly Valley Pitch on Thursdays at 4. If you have properties that you would like to pitch that are either in the MLS is coming soon or already listed, by all means, send those in to us and we will get them put into the presentation. And you can join us on the Zoom on Thursdays at 4 o'clock to pitch your property that we also broadcast live on Facebook. And if you have buyer wants and needs, we allow you to come on and let us know what you are looking for your buyers that you have not been able to find, in hopes that somebody may hear that and have some suggestions in regards to some properties that may not be listed yet. All right. And
Hey, Tommy,
yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Maybe you have some tips or certain information you can share with us in the next class regarding some type of information we can use in newsletter or emailing, some type of marketing materials that could be helpful in saving time, something like that. I think we had this conversation a while ago.
Okay.
That would be wonderful.
I can definitely put a Zoom together for that. That would be an easy one for me.
Cool.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that one next week.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had a lot of people call me also, Tommy, so that would be great if we could do that one.
All right. Yeah, that'll be a good one to do.
Mhm.
Any other suggestions?
Thanks, Tatiana. Thanks for that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
All right. Well, if you guys think of anything moving forward, send them in to us. Let us know. I can be reached again at tommyfortitle.com, tommyfortitle@gmail. Annie, you want to give your number?
Oh yeah. My number, anybody could call my cell at 619-787-5172. Call me anytime.
And when she means anytime, she answers her phone.
I do.
It's true, she does. If she doesn't, I will. So, all right, guys. Well, hey, thank you for joining us. And we look forward to you guys joining us again next week. And if you have any suggestions, by all means, share them with us. All
Have a
right.
great week.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.